All of you are perfectly well aware of the fact that I think that Republicans are going to attempt another coup, dismantle our democratic processes, and build camps, all right? You all know that.
All right, so this guy's a YouTuber named Vosh. I definitely disagree with him on like well over 90% of what he says, but I still try to watch him all the time because I just think it's important to hear what people are saying, even when you disagree with them. His whole thing is he identifies as what he calls a progressive socialist. Normally, when I watch him, I'm just like, oh, come on now. But this video, this clip, really blew me away more than usual. All right, so let's check this out. The title is Republicans Are Laying the Groundwork for Civil Unrest.
Democracies only function if people who vote, people who participate politically, are receptive to reality. If you're not, if you're unashamedly not, what you're essentially saying is, discourse is not a tool that can be used to sway me off bad positions. You will have to use other tools. What other tools do you want people to use on you exactly? How can you expect to convince anyone or even participate politically at all if you can't be swayed off your own position? It's not possible. It cannot be done. You all agree, don't you? And do you think this is different? The purpose of a democracy is literally to facilitate civil discourse so people with disagreements can form compromises and arrive at conclusions that serve people's interest to the best possible extent. People who cannot be convinced by empirically, factually true things are forfeiting their participation in that process. They're ousting themselves. They're essentially saying, this process is not the mechanism by which I want to hold power. I want to hold power intrinsically. I want my power to come from an authoritarian, non-communal, non-committee-driven place. Because democratic...
As you can see, he's gearing up to say that on the Republican side of things, there's a push for a sort of dictator situation and that people on the right are absolutely unwilling to see things in a different way. Which there definitely are people like that, but you know what, Vosh, I've listened to you talk quite a bit, and you sound pretty fixed in your ideas too, so this really feels like a situation of the pot calling the kettle black.
Processes are something that I'm not receptive to. I think that my language here is a little bit hampered in large part because I don't really believe many Republicans can be moved at this point. I really do think
Really, just Republicans can't be moved. That's why when I hopped into the political sphere, I go out of my way to not say everything is the fault of one side because there's crazy people on both sides. I think any reasonable person can say that. There's people who are unwilling to consider an outside information on both sides. And when you say that's just one side that's doing this, you're part of the problem. I think that's undebatable.
I think what we need, frankly, is mass arrests of all the people for whom we have provable, empirical, undeniable evidence participated in an attack on the democratic process. And they need to be laid to trial. And then, frankly, I just think that the Republican Party should be basically de facto expelled. It is the political party.
Okay, come on now. Such an extreme statement. How are you going to start this big speech by saying that one side is too extreme with their ideas and then come out and say that the side that you disagree with should be abolished? And this is coming from somebody who thinks that both sides are completely toxic. I mean, he's a well-spoken, seemingly intellectual guy, but I just don't see how he's able to start off saying what he said and then circle around to saying that, yeah, but my side's definitely right, so the other side shouldn't be allowed to exist anymore.
Attempted to coup the country. I don't think that's unreasonable in the slightest. I don't frankly, it's just perfectly straightforward when you just think about it. Like, for a second, allow your mind to be freed of all of the stupid liberal aphorisms and all the cry bullying from the Republicans. Think about it for like 2 seconds, So there's a political party in the country that, with very few exceptions, worked together and reinforced itself in an effort to overturn the democratic process.
Okay, come on. Listen, what happened on January 6th was absolutely idiotic. The moment that I saw that Trump was planning to have a rally in D.C. the day of a major congressional hearing, instantly my first thought was, oh wow, that seems like a dangerous idea to have millions of frustrated people come to Washington, D.C. when people that they're mad at are doing something that they don't look favorably upon. So I think what people did on January 6th was, wrong and idiotic. Anything you want to say, bad all around. Anybody who participated in it, very foolish. But the narrative I can't get on board with is when people start saying it was a systematic, organized attempt to, overthrow the government, because while it was wrong and stupid, where's the level of organization and intent that he's describing? That's what I can't get on board with. And to say that the people who legitimately committed crimes that day are representative of the entire party, I think that's a massive reach too. It was a fraction of the people that were there that went inside, and then it was a fraction of the party that even went to DC that day.
Install a dictator. Huh. Oh yeah, I guess maybe that should be dispelled, I guess.
Yeah, install a dictator. What do you mean install a dictator? That's the thing I can't get on board with when the left says it as well. You know, they constantly say Trump tried to be a dictator. I mean, yeah, he kept going on and on about the fraud stuff, but I'm really trying to think of one thing that he did that was in line with what a dictator would do. You know, even during the pandemic, he pretty much left everything up to the states.
That is what happened. And if they want to have a political party, they can just do one that's not, like, fascist. The Democrats.
All right, again, fascist, come on. You don't think that's a bit extreme?
Would that cause a civil war? People being arrested legally for illegal things that they did, following by, like, anti-Republican legislation. Listen, at this point, like, the massive political conflict is essentially inevitable. It's really just a matter of whether or not you want to start on the front foot or the back foot. Would you?
Why does massive political conflict have to be inevitable? Are we really that far apart where there's not compromise that exists? The way I see it, the most divisive entities in the country right now are the mainstream media and the politicians who just try to trigger emotional reactions from people. And they drive narratives that make it seem like we're so far apart when it's not really the case, at least for the majority of people.
Would you rather the great conflict begin after they've seized power or preemptively when you're in power? You know, me personally, I think it's better to have fights when you can win, but...
Okay, that's a scary thing to say. You want a political conflict to begin because the side that you agree with more is in power.
Conservatives also assume all the bad things will go away on their own if left to the states. I genuinely do not believe they believe that. The only reason you would ever say, hey, let's get rid of this federal human right and just let the states handle it, all 50 of them, and like the only thing that when people say like leave it to the states, what they actually mean is like we want to have as many states as possible not have this human right, you know?
Finally, you could agree on something. Yeah, I think that repealing Roe v. Wade was stupid too. I think it just divided the country more than ever, and it's going to cause a whole bunch of problems. Super unnecessary thing to do. I think it was the last thing the country needed.
If you already have all of them respecting a given right, and then you're like, well, we should actually have it be done individually. The only possible outcome of that is either all 50 states on their own pass legislation to mirror the prior federal one, which isn't going to happen, and to my knowledge has basically never happened, or you have states' pockets of inequality that you are trying to cultivate. You're not even wrong, but a lot of them are legitimately too stupid to understand that we're correct. Yep. What is a conclusion that can be taken from all this? By guns, of course. Not gonna lie, I strongly think you're dead wrong. We've had photos of the concentration camps at the border and hundreds of corpses from people from ICE mocking said people/bodies. Oh yeah, I don't really think there's much that can be done. Listen, what do you guys want me to say? What do you want me to get my YouTube channel banned? You all know perfectly well what I think is going to happen in this country, all right? All of you are perfectly well aware of the fact that I think that Republicans are going to attempt another coup, dismantle our democratic processes, and build camps, all right?
All right, come on. What on earth are you talking about? Build camps? Who wants to build camps? Who are we building camps for? That is such a crazy thing to say to people. You know, statements like that are why half the country's freaking out right now, thinking that the other one wants to do the worst to them. It's just such a crazy thing to say.
You all know that. I can't keep repeating that. You all ask me, you know? What if we can't buy guns? Buy hammers. And don't buy guns if you have mental health issues. The real answers are the same as always. Go out and campaign, all right? Talk to people. Go look for local representatives that you can talk with. We have a whole canvassing that we're going to try to tip off.
Yes, boom, finally. That's something I get on board with. It's just like the whole rich-poor thing. You know, people who are unhappy with politics need to get involved with politics more. You know, it could be in the smallest way or a larger way, but if you're somebody who's always complaining about politics, but you're not politically active, then it's a bit hypocritical. Yeah, so to wrap this up, I just want to highlight the importance, in my opinion, of hearing what people are saying on both sides. You know, whether it's the Matt Walshes of the world, who I'm going to do something like this for him too, because he says some crazy things as well as being an extreme conservative. But, you know, this guy is left of Marx, and I force myself to listen to him because you got to know what people are thinking. And definitely going to start doing this more. Hope you guys get some value out of it. But yeah, some of the things he said in this clip were really bothersome to me because, you know, people are impressionable. Like when you say a political party wants to put people in camps, or that the side you disagree with should be just dismantled, it's not doing a lot of good for the country. I think the medicine that America needs to take is for everybody to take a step back from their extreme beliefs and just find some compromise. You know, there's a middle ground somewhere. We just gotta find it. All right, hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you haven't. I'll talk to you later.